Hey, how's it going everybody? This week we are going to be doing a different type of video. So a few months ago I saw Gigug upload the video about ranking anime tropes and I thought, hey, that would be a really good idea. I didn't want to upload it immediately after he did though, so I waited, and I also don't really want to rely on tier lists anymore, so I haven't made one in a while. But anyway, let's jump into this one because I think it's going to be interesting and fun, so let's do it. First trope on the list, tragic anime backstory. I like tragic anime backstories. They make the characters fun. I don't know if I'm the only one that agrees with that statement, but they build upon the characters and they make it fun. This one, see, this goes like hand in hand with like a lot of ecchi stuff. I'm not gonna lie, like, or like it's like the mom type character or like the older sister type character, and it's like fine for the most part, but I'm not gonna sit here and say that I like every character that does that. Some are okay, some not so much. Signature attacks, I think I'm gonna put that, not S, maybe A. We can move things around later. Signature attacks are cool because when you're watching like a battle shonen or you're watching some kind of crazy fight anime and you're like, you see the main character, he's launching his special attack, you get all hyped up and shit. It's great. It's awesome. So I really like signature attacks. That could go S, but I'm not too sure. Beach episodes, I don't really care about beach episodes, to be honest. They're okay. I mean, there's just like another episode to me. When I'm watching a slice of life anime, it's just another episode to me. I don't really care that much. So I'm just gonna throw it in C. It's not anything bad. Cat girls, again, it's not really something I particularly care about. I don't necessarily hate them, but I don't particularly care. So I'm gonna throw, I guess I'll throw them in B. It's a little bit higher than the other two for me, but still not like anything. Explaining powers mid-battle. That one we are gonna go ahead and throw into B. It's not like, it doesn't take away from the series for me, and I do like understanding the powers. I just think sometimes when you're watching like an action anime, you're like, why are you like in the middle of explaining shit? Like, you can explain your attacks afterwards. Like, you can talk to your buddies after the battle and be like, oh yeah, I use this cool special attack during the battle that I was learning, 3 weeks ago before this fight happened. You know what I mean? You don't have to do it during the battle. But at the same time, it's also like, I do appreciate the thought that's like, hey, you're showing us this new power and then you're going to tell us. But at the same time, some authors overuse it to the point that's like they don't realize the point of showing and not telling. But yeah, explaining powers mid-battle is fine. I mean, to me, it doesn't take away from a series or anything. Fan service is D. I hate fan service in anime. I genuinely just can't stand it. Beach episodes are a bit different to me because it's just a beach episode. Obviously, those usually are encumbered with fan service, but not always. But fan service specifically, I absolutely hate. There's a reason why ecchi is probably my least favorite anime genre. Because if in my opinion, if you're just gonna go that route, you might as well just go full blown at that point. Because I hate it so much. It just takes away from a series for me. Filler episodes. Yeah, I think I'm going to put a D. I mean, for the most part, it's fine nowadays because most anime nowadays don't get filler episodes. And when they do, I mean, it's whatever. But you can, like, back in the old shows that used to have them nowadays, now that they're all, like, finished, you can just skip them now. So it's not the end of the world. And some filler episodes are funny. Like, I remember that one from Naruto with them trying to find Kakashi's, like, mask or whatever. That one's funny. That's a good episode. But other than that, like, really, it's not the end of the, like, it's whatever. But, yeah. Power of friendship. Now, this one, see, I love Fairy Tail a lot, and I also love Black Clover a lot, both of which rely heavily on power of friendship. However, the power of friendship, I mean, to me, it doesn't really take away anything. I actually, yeah, I'm gonna put it top of B. I like Power of Friendship. It doesn't take away from a series for me. Like I said, I like Fairy Tail and Black Clover a lot. And I think, especially in like Fairy Tail's case, it really enhances the story and the fights because a lot of the times, like, the Power of Friendship is used not necessarily as like a power-up. It's more so as a way like to show like, hey, these characters, they genuinely care about each other. They feel like family. And if you fuck with one of them, you fuck with all of them. So they're gonna get stronger and they're gonna fuck you up if you fuck with them. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it feels to me, especially in like a show like Fairy Tail. And so that's why Power of Friendship doesn't really, that's kind of why I like it a little bit. Genre reconstruction, I am throwing right up in the S tier. I love when a series just takes a genre and flips it on its head, or just like does something that you don't expect, like Madoka Magica, for instance. Back when that show came out, that show completely revolutionized what a magical girl anime was. And I love when series do that kind of stuff. It's great. Always fun experience. Harems, honestly, despite what you might think, I'm actually going to put top a C. If you've been on my channel for a while, you might think I don't like harems that much, but there are some, like Ayori Aoshi, for instance, which is one of my favorites, that I actually genuinely really like, but it's only the ones that are more mature and take a different approach and aren't just like fan servicey for the sake of being fan servicey. Like there's one coming out this season, I think it's called like Cafe Terraces or Goddess or whatever. That one's okay. It's got a lot of fan service in it, but the characters' approach to everything is great. And the comedy is pretty funny a lot of the time. However, there is a lot of fan service in it, so it's not one of my favorites, but I do still enjoy that anime. Like harems are fine. It just depends on how you approach it, you know what I mean? Incest is a definite D tier. I don't care. Like, the thing is, right, I'm not completely against it in my anime. I actually genuinely like Ori-Imo up until the last, like, 3 or 4 episodes or whatever it is, whenever that ending starts. Like, it's genuinely a pretty good show up until that point. But then it just gets there and it ruins the whole show, right? And then you got, like, Arrow Manga Sensei, which is another absolutely terrible show. But, you know, there's also times where it's like, they kind of go like the step-sibling route and it's not that bad. Like, I've read the Domestic Girlfriend manga, and the manga's actually pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Just skip the high school section of that manga, which is terrible. But the rest of it's good. But anyway, that one takes like incest in like a step-sibling kind of way, which they weren't like raised as siblings, so it's not as bad. Or like this season with the Days of My Stepsister anime, which I uploaded a video on last week, which is also really good. So sometimes it's okay, but honestly, going that route, but how many anime have like the full incest route? Not that many, so I just keep it a D. I'll actually move it above, I'll put it above those two, because I really don't like fan service. Actually, I'm going to put filler above fan service too. Another isekai. Isekai anime are okay to me. I haven't watched an isekai that isn't like mainstream in a minute though. It's been like a year, I think, because I just kind of stopped watching all those generic isekai. Because I just don't have the time to sit down and watch all that kind of crap anymore. But honestly, isekais aren't too bad. I'm going to put it in C tier, right above these two, but below harems. Because I do still watch some harems every once in a while. Little sister characters, depending on how it's done. Like, I like the one character in the one anime this season. What is it? Makine, Too Many Losing Heroines or whatever. I like that little sister character. She's funny because she like dotes on her brother and it's hilarious. But there are some times where it's like a little bit too far. But I think it's fine. I'll put it at the very bottom of C. It's not too bad. This one, I think it's just stupid. Like, if you're gonna have a child character, just make him a child, man. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a child character in your anime. Why you gotta be weird about it? And then all the fan bases of these characters are even weirder. Like, just stop. Just stop it. Absent or dead parents. Again, this one's fine. I'm actually gonna put this. It almost goes hand in hand with tragic anime backstory, but not quite the same. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of B. I think it's not as good because when they do it, there's a lot of anime that do this on a lot of main characters, and it's not always done the best. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, this makes sense of why a character is this way or whatever. And sometimes it's like, okay, I mean, sure, fine. You just kind of added that in there for no reason, just to do that. But, I mean, it can work, and it works really well. And again, it does go hand in hand with tragic anime backstories sometimes as well. Pervert characters, I hate with a passion, with the exception of Sanji, because Sanji is a great character. But the rest of them, I don't really like that much. I just genuinely think they're annoying. It goes hand in hand with the fan service, which I also hate in anime. So both of those factors together to me just are a no. So we got Powerups. I don't mind Powerups. Actually, I like Powerups a lot. I'm almost tempted to put it in S. Yeah. Because I like Powerups a lot. When you a new character, or when you got a character in an anime and he's powering up for the first time, or he's doing like some new power up for the first time, it's like, it's so hype every single time. It's just, it's great. It's great. Student council. I love the student council stuff. That stuff's always funny to me, especially when you got like older anime. It's not as good in recent stuff, but older anime specifically, where it's like the student council can like run the whole world. That crap is hilarious to me. It is always funny. The Dares. I'm gonna put Dare at the bottom of B. There are some Dares that I really like, and others that I'm like, eh. Like Yanderes I hate. Tsunderes are okay depending on how they're done. I like Kuderes a lot. But like, you know, Dares are Dares, it's whatever. Sometimes the characters are fine, whatever. Generic protagonist, that's gonna be at the bottom of C. I kinda just hate all the damn Kirito clones. Like, make something original and fun. Like, you don't have to be the exact same self-insert character all the time. Like, these generic isekais would be better if they just had a better protagonist. Because sometimes the character, or like, not the characters, but like, sometimes the worlds are really interesting, or the power system is really interesting in these generic isekai, and it's like, it could just be that much better if they just had a better protagonist. Because I've seen some of these shows where it's like, the protagonist isn't a Kirito clone, but they're still like not quite there, and those shows are usually better, but they're still not quite there. It's just like, just get to that next level, and I guarantee these shows could be great. And it just doesn't just apply to isekai either. Rom-coms as well. There are a lot of generic ass freaking rom-com protagonists, and it's just like, just think of a better character and you got that. So tournament arcs, I love tournament arcs. Every time a tournament arc comes up in my anime, I'm hype. I'm hype. I'm there every single week, week after week, cheering on my favorite characters, ready for them to win. I absolutely love tournament arcs. Great stuff, great stuff. The Fang, it's a hit or miss for me. I don't really care. I'm gonna put it above that. Yeah, it's hit or miss for me. I don't really care either way if that kind of stuff happens. High school. I mean, see, high school's like every anime, you know what I mean? I'm gonna put it at B because it's literally just like generic, because like literally every anime basically is a high school anime, with the exception of like seinen. If it's a seinen story, there's a chance it's not in high school. But if it's anything else, it's probably set in high school. But I mean, hey, seinen stuff, or not seinen stuff, high school stuff is fine for the most part. I am a very big fan of slice of life, obviously, so it doesn't really bother me if the setting is in high school. There are some times where it's like, okay, that's not really believable that these characters are in high school, but at the same time, usually in that case, for me, it's like, these characters aren't supposed to be believable, so it's like, whatever. Internal monologues, I like internal monologues a lot, actually, especially with that specific anime that's being used as the picture, because it gets you inside the head of the characters, and it lets you see their thought process and what they're thinking about, or what they're gonna do, or all that kind of stuff, and it really just helps you kind of understand what's going on and being able to piece things together, like, especially if it's like a mystery anime, you can kind of maybe start putting pieces together, be like, hey, this character's thinking this character's thinking this, maybe they're gonna meet up here, do this, or maybe this is gonna happen, or whatever, you know what I mean? And I just like that aspect where I can kind of, where a story starts slowly piecing together things, and the more information I get, the more that helps me. So I really like that kind of stuff. So inner monologues to me, I actually really like. It just depends on how they're done too, because if they interrupt something, then yeah, it could be a little annoying. But especially if it's done in conjunction with explaining powers mid-battle, I think if it's like an inner monologue where it's like, okay, so this character's thinking like, okay, what is this power? Or the new character who's unveiling the power is like, okay, I'm going to explain this, but I'm not actually going to explain it to my villain. I'm just going to explain it in my head and be like, hey, this is my new power and all that kind of stuff, thinking like, oh God, I can only use this 3 times, or I can only use this for 10 minutes or something like that. And be like, okay, so now you're explaining the power, but you're not explaining it to your villain, so it's not weird. And because it's in your head, you're not actually taking away from the battle because it's in your head, right? You're thinking that as you're fighting. So it's like, you know, it's good. It's fine. Inner monologues are fine for me. I like them a lot. Nosebleeds go hand in hand with these two. I'm actually gonna put it here though, because I think nosebleeds can sometimes be funny. Only sometimes though. It can only sometimes be funny, because sometimes it's just so over the top that it's just absolutely hilarious. But other times I'm just like, I genuinely do not care. Overpowered MC. I'm actually gonna put this higher than generic MC. I'm gonna put it, I actually might even put it B, because yeah, I'm gonna put it at the bottom of B, and there's a reason for this. Overpowered MC, you think of one type of character, right? You think of characters like Rimuru, or the main character of Eminence and Shadow, or like Kirito, or like characters like that, right? Characters who are like OP for the sake of being OP, right? Although in Rimuru's case, it's not quite as bad, because he's actually a good character, but you also have this type of characters who are overpowered in like the mind. So you have characters like Light Yagami, for instance, or What's the main character? I forgot the main character of Kogias. They're OP, right? They're overpowered, but they're not like physically stronger than their opponent or anything like that. They're just very, very smart. And that's still another way to do overpowered. And I like those types of characters a lot. I don't mind the overpowered characters like physically too sometimes, as they're fine too. But when they use the aspect of like, okay, this guy is hard to beat, not because he's strong, but because he's so damn smart that it's hard to come up with a good, solid plan to beat this guy. I like those types of characters. So I'm going to put it in B for that specific reason, because I think there's a good mix in anime between the overpowered physical and the overpowered mental. So it's good. This one is, I'm going to put it below Beach episodes. This one's okay. It can work at the beginning of some series, but for the most part, it's just kind of like whatever. You know what I mean? It's just a character running because they're late, and then it sometimes usually leads to like, oh, they meet like their romance MC or something like that. But it's like, it's whatever. The hero-villain team-up, though, that's definitely going in S. I love when the villain and the hero, or like a former villain, like an old villain from like a past arc, meets up with the hero and they team up together to beat a new villain that's even stronger. That shit is always so hype. It is some of the best shit ever. Time skips next. Time skips, I don't mind time skips. I'm not going to put it in A tier or anything, but I'm going to put it, I'm actually going to put it at the top of B. Because time skips are fine. It actually works a lot, like really, really well, if you do it right. You know what I mean? Like Naruto's is okay. I think Naruto could have been a lot stronger after the time skip, and it would have worked a lot better. But it's like, you know, time skips are fine. It gives the characters time to grow and progress through a story without having to blow it out the story a lot, and where we don't have to see all the boring stuff. You know what I mean? You can kind of just talk about the training in passing and be like, hey, you know, they trained for 2.5 years. They learned this, this, and this, and this, and we can just move on with the story. You know what I mean? You don't always have to, you know, explain that kind of stuff. Because, you know, a lot of the time with the next section here, training arcs, you don't always want to see a training arc. Sometimes you're just like, man, I just want to get right to the fight. Or I want to get right to the new stuff. I want to get right onto the moving to the story. There are times where it's like, okay. So, and that's kind of where it's like perfect. It's like, okay, I need these characters to get like significantly stronger, but I don't want to write in a long 2.5 year long or 3 year long or whatever long training arc, because that's going to be boring for the readers, right? People are not going to want to see the characters do that. So I can just throw in a time skip, and then as the story progresses, when they unveil a new power or whatever, then I can explain it in passing and be like, hey, they learned this, you know, 2 years ago when they were training with their master, and now they have this power, but they were holding back because they never needed to use it because they never ran into an opponent that was strong enough until now. You know what I mean? It's kind of like what Luffy did with Gear 4th in the time skip, right? Luffy developed Gear 4th during the time skip, but he never unveiled it until Dressrosa, because he never ran into an opponent until Dressrosa where he needed to actually use Gear 4th. So we never saw it until then. You know what I mean? But he did develop it during the time skip. So that was a perfect example of what I'm talking about, where it's like, you want your characters to get significantly stronger, but you don't necessarily want to go through that training arc in the story, because it's just boring sometimes. Sometimes they're done well, like the one Naruto training arc where Naruto's learning the wind style Rasengan and the Rasen Shuriken. That training arc's good. Again, it just depends on how you do it, but that training arc was also mixed in together with another arc, so it kind of coincided, and we were able to get some good stuff there. And training arcs, same thing. I'm gonna actually put them. I'm gonna put them above. I'm gonna put them below high school. I'm fine with training arcs, like I already explained. They're okay. They're a necessary part of the story. Sometimes you need them. Sometimes they can be used, and sometimes they can be transformed into a time skip, which can also work really well depending on how they're done. Transformation sequences. I love transformation sequences in anime, especially when they're like badass. I don't mind like the Magical Girl ones either. They're fine too, but man, a good transformation sequence can make or break like a freaking like how should I say it? Like a form, you know what I mean? Like when Gear 5th was first unveiled in the anime, holy crap, that shit was hype. Or like, you know, you get the Magical Girl ones, you got some other transformations here and there. It's like, it can make or break a form for sure when you have like a really hype freaking transformation sequence. It's just cool. All right, so I've ranked everything on this list. You guys can give your opinions down in the comments below. You can make your own tier list down, and I will put that in the description. And I will see you guys next week with a new video. Bye.